Yeah, I'm making a tutorial of sorts because I've been making a lot of art that looks like this, or this, or this. And I'm going to show you how I make one of these start to finish. I use only MS Paint and Paint.net, both free software. Before I start, I want to give a shout out to thefoxoverlord from Discord. They kind of put me onto this style, and they do it completely in MS Paint, which I don't understand. I'll link their socials if I can find them. Let's jump on over to MS Paint. I like to use 4010 by 1678 pixels, but that artboard size is up to you. So I'm going to start by just picking any random brush. I'll probably just do the standard one and scribble all over the place. So here's the sauce of MS Paint. It is on the selection tool in this top left corner. So I'm just going to do a rectangle selection for now. And this menu option in the drop down is going to be very important. First, let's start with that on. So if I just grab all of that, hold shift and drag it around, I get this crazy repeating effect going on, as opposed to with this off, where it'll just use that whole box, which sometimes is an effect you want, but not in this case. And at this point, I might start filling in some random spots just for some interesting color. I'm just filling in random spots. There's really no rhyme or reason to this. And that already looks pretty complex, but I'm going to make it even more so by grabbing the select tool again, but instead of doing rectangle, I'm going to do freeform. So I'm just going to scribble again. Going to hold shift and drag it ever so slightly down. Huh. Alright, now that looks complex enough for me. I'm just going to bounce it out right now. So let's save that somewhere safe. Now let's boot up paint.net, which I will link the download to in the description. By the way, this will only work if you're on Windows, I assume. Maybe you can get MS Paint on Linux, I'm not sure. So it doesn't really matter what size this artboard is, because when we drag in our PNG from earlier, it'll just make it the size we need it to be. So I'm going to duplicate the layer. Oh, my computer does not like me. So most of what we are going to be messing with is in this effects panel up here. If you want to really be impressed with Paint.net off the bat, just go straight to distort and polar inversion. And that is just quite the effect. Yeah, you can just get some really crazy stuff really quickly with that tool. But I'm going to avoid that for now because I've messed with that a whole lot. I think what I'm going to do is something similar to what we did earlier. I'm going to grab the lasso select and just grab a big chunk of this. I'm going to copy and paste that to a new layer. So now we just have this. First of all, I think I'm going to change the color of that. So the way that I like to change color is with adjustments, curves. And this lets you edit all of the RGB values. And there's really no rhyme or reason to this for me. I just kind of like to uncheck and recheck these and just see what happens. And now that we've got that, actually, I kind of like that. It's like the trans flag color, so I'm going to keep that. And you know what? Maybe I'll do that with the background as well, just see if we can get anything we like better. Wow, wait, that's really pleasant. Okay, I'll mess with it a little bit, though. Oh, I liked that spot with more yellow. Yeah, perfect. Oh, do I want to keep it just as is? Okay, I'll bounce one out of just this, just in case. And you'll notice when you bounce this out, it'll make you flatten it, and that's fine because you can just hit Control Z or undo and you'll get all of your layers back. So what I wanted to do is try isolating this layer on top and putting a dense effect. I think polar inversion and dense are the two most like crazy complex ones off the bat, I feel. That is pretty nuts. And now that I'm seeing it, though it is a very cool effect, I think it's sort of going against this cool angular thing we've got going on beforehand. So I want to see if I can find something else to do. Let's duplicate that top layer and then maybe just mess with the one right under it. Maybe a big twist. How about that? Ooh, let's commit to that because that's really pretty. I might bounce that out too. That's pretty. I don't want to lose that. Now, one thing I think might be interesting is messing with the blend modes of the layers, which maybe I'm not the one to explain them. They sort of change the way that layers sit on top of other layers. It'll be easiest to just show you. So let's take this top layer, double click that, and you'll notice there's this menu called blend mode, and there's also opacity if you ever need that. And one thing I didn't notice until a while in is that instead of clicking and selecting from this menu, you can actually just scroll with your mouse cursor. And you'll see that each of these selections will have a slightly different effect, some more intense than others. I'm not really a fan of how those layers are working, but I'm thinking maybe if I take this second layer instead, we can get something more to our liking. Oh, that's tempting. It definitely changes up the color scheme that we have a lot, makes it a lot more complex. So I think I am going to try that. And the other thing I want to try is we still have this original image from MS Paint down here. I'm going to try changing the blend mode of this as well, and I think this will make quite a big difference. Wow. I like that. Let's commit to that. Jesus. If I scroll in, you can really see the detail of that. I mean, actually, it looks kind of shitty when you're that close, but whatever. Did I like the other one better? Okay, one more. The other one definitely had more red, which is kind of my vibe. Yeah, let's do that one. I'm wondering if there's a way to make this detail look a little bit more interesting. Well, let's bounce that out first of all. Flatten. And I think this time I'm just going to keep the flattened thing as the one layer just to simplify. So when I'm at this point with a project where I'm more or less satisfied with it, then I start doing the equivalent to mastering a song, where I'm no longer making such drastic adjustments to it. I just want to add a little bit of sparkle, add a little bit of sheen to it, maybe. My favorite ways to do that, I've found, are Relief tool and the Glow tool somewhere else. So let's see if the relief makes it look better in this case. And I don't think it does. Sometimes that makes it pop for me. And one thing I like to do is this might kill my computer, is just stack a bunch of really small effects on top of each other. So you'll notice in here it shows you the shortcut of Control F to repeat the effect you just did. So you can just spam that, and I'm not sure it'll work very well in this case, but you'll see that like that'll make some really crazy things happen if you just repeat that small thing a bunch of times. But I don't want that, so I'm going to go back to before I did that. Maybe add a little bit of glow. There's something about it. I feel like it just adds a little bit more like depth and visual interest sometimes, but you know what? What if we just take the whole thing and do one more round of RGB madness? Photosensitive warning, I suppose. Whoa. Let's A-B that. Ooh. That's a tough call. I'm keeping that. That's cool as fuck. Okay. And maybe I'll also mess with the curves tool, but with luminosity instead of RGB. RGB's colors, luminosity is just light with that. Ooh, I kind of like that. But do I like it more than what I just had? No. You get it. I could spend all day tweaking, but let's just call it a day here and bounce that out. And there we have it. Let's look at the progression of what we did. So we started with, I guess a blank canvas to here. then did some color correction, bounced that out, did whatever the hell that was, that, and then you get the idea. I could tweak it forever. I'm not completely happy with this, but I hope that you're kind of starting to see how you get this maximalist style in these programs. I have a lot of fun with them. Should I outro? Okay. Blair signing off. Will I edit this? Who's to say?